What's up, YouTube? Hope you guys are having a green day today, or a green week overall. Sorry, my face will not be in this one as I am naked, but that's okay. I'm just gonna give you guys a quick cover on the Nasdaq and what it's doing and why it's doing it and what do I think is gonna do later. So as you can see in this video now, this chart in particular is the NDX. So this only covers market open hours, nothing on the after hours. So we are going to go to the other chart in just a moment. But on this chart, you can see here I have this white box and a red line right here. Now this was a previous level of resistance. And this white box right here is just a trading range that I kind of drew out because once it peaked up here, it dropped down. So there was a little gap to fill. There was a little bit of resistance down here. And then again over here, there was resistance. Again over here, there was resistance. So I figured that this is a pretty solid trading range. And it's been holding pretty well for this chart. Now, if we zoom in a bit, there's going to be a few things that I want to cover. One, it actually did come all the way back down to test the bottom of this trading range. But now you're going to see on here, we've got one. Now this is what is called a head and shoulders reversal. All right, so this whole time is going up. It has its ups and downs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows, higher highs. Now we had a gap over here. It came back down, filled the gap, bounced off the 50-day. But over here you see, once it peaked up here, that became what's called a shoulder. Now you won't know this until, of course, further down the road once the rest of the chart starts to build itself up. Then you've got the head. All right, you got the head right in here, so we'll draw a line up here. And then you've got another shoulder, which is right here. So this in turn becomes a neckline. And once this neckline forms, here, let me just make this other line for the shoulder. So now you got your head, you got your two shoulders, and you want to see what's happening. So once it came back down, it broke through the neckline. It came all the way back down to retest this low, which you guys can see in the previous video that I had for covering the Nasdaq, and then it bounced up. But now that it's trading above this level of resistance, it has now become support. Now, if you're going to be looking at the 1-year chart, you're going to see a couple things here. Today, I had a nice little run up, but it got rejected by the 20-day moving average, which, once again, in the previous video that I put for the NAS and the SPY, you'll see that I did mention that the 20-day and the 50-day were overhead, so expect resistance once it gets to that level. So now we can say that this may be a new area of like a trading range or a trading zone that it's going to be trading in for a while. All right, but now let's go into the other chart for the Nasdaq, which is the /NQ. All right, if we come in here, it's going to be a little easier to see since this one trades 24/7. All right, you've got your neckline here, you've got your shoulder, you've got your head, you've got your other shoulder, and it broke through the neckline. Once this happened, it came down here, retested the 1222 or the 12,222 level. Now, the reason why I didn't want to play it today was, once again, because of that overhead resistance I was assuming is going to come into play from the 20 and the 50-day being above it. And it did. It rejected it. And as I mentioned in the previous video, that it needs to hold above 12,800 to show signs of strength. And even though it did come up a little bit today, it just couldn't hold. And right now it's trading at 12,770. So you've got, of course, Tesla, which is pulling back because of it. You've got Apple and all the other big tech stocks that are pulling back because of this. All right, so what I am doing is I'm just waiting to see if the Nasdaq does manage to break and hold above the $12,800 level for me to gain interest to play it long. Otherwise, it is going to be a better short play in my opinion. Now, on this chart, if I zoom out, or actually if I just go into the, let's go back to the 4-hour chart, there's going to be a couple of patterns that I see here. All right. One, let me make sure my drawing is right. So you'll see that there's a couple of reversals, or at least one that was almost meant. So this one you have, let me just change this color to white to make it easier for you guys to see. Make it white, save as default. Yeah, we'll make it a little bit of a thicker line. So let's make it 4. All right, so you got a little bit of a W pattern reversal sort of happening, but it never actually played through. So what happened here, as I mentioned in my trading patterns, it needs to cross. If you got one leg and then you've got the middle hump, the next leg has to break higher than the middle hump for it to confirm a reversal, and it didn't. So that's how I kind of figured this is just going to continue its downward trend, and it did. And now when it came down here, you've got another W, but this one was better. You got your middle hump, or middle of the W, but this next leg did break out higher. All right, so once it did come back higher, I figured that this is probably going to be a good buy. Now, naturally, I wasn't trading the Nasdaq. I was actually trading Tesla. So I had an amazing run on Tesla, as I'm sure a lot of people did yesterday. But then today, I figured that, you know what? It did have a massive run, but it does still have the 20 and the 50 on the, well, above it. And I didn't want to trade thinking that is just going to continue to climb, and it worked out in my favor. Well, not really. It just means that I couldn't trade it because it was going to come down. All right, so now it's at the 12,770, and I'm waiting for it to get above 12,800. So the next level of resistance is going to be 13,000 if it does break out to the upside. If we zoom in a bit more, let's go to the 20-day chart. We'll see what's happening. All right, so clearly it's getting rejected at that 12,800, but it's also staying below the 200-day, and now it's below the 20-day. Normally what I like to see, and I love the pattern when the 20-day is below the 50, which is below the 200, because that means it's going to have a really nice run, which it did, and I mentioned that in the other video as well. So what I want to see now is for the for it to pop above the 20-day, pop above the 200, for me to see any signs of an uptrend continuation. If not, we're just going to look for a little bit of sideways consolidation, maybe a bit of a pullback. If it does pull back, look for a retracement down to 12,600, and it should bounce from there. If it does not, then it's going to go back into its correction, and you do not want to be caught in that. I still do feel Tesla is a bit overbought, even though it has pulled back severely. Its PE ratio has climbed back up slightly over 1,000, which I'm not too comfortable trading. So I will wait for tomorrow, see what happens. We also want to see what's going on with the stimulus and with the 10-year bonds, or the yields, if they're going to be climbing or what they're going to be doing, because it's really messing up the market. All right, so I hope you guys are, like I said before, having a great week, a green week, and I will see you guys in the next one.